There is a memory inside you that isn't yours. You've never seen a saber-toothed cat. You've never been chased by a leopard through tall grass. You've never watched a member of your tribe get pulled into a river by something with teeth. But your body remembers all of it. And every time your heart races at a shadow that turns out to be nothing, you're feeling a ghost that died 50,000 years ago. Scientists have a name for this. They call it a genetic debt. It's a bill your ancestors ran up over 3 million years of survival, and your body is still paying the interest. Here's how it works. Every fear you have right now, the tightness in your chest when you see a spider, the freeze response when you hear footsteps behind you at night, the primal drop in your stomach when you look over a cliff, none of it is random. Every single one of those responses saved someone's life, not yours, theirs. The humans who felt no fear of heights walked off cliffs. They didn't reproduce. The humans who felt no fear of spiders got bit and died. They didn't reproduce either. The only humans who lived long enough to have children were the ones whose bodies overreacted to danger. Every time. And you are the direct descendant of the most paranoid, jumpy, easily startled humans who ever lived. Congratulations! In 1920, a psychologist named John Watson wanted to prove that fear could be manufactured. He found a 9-month-old baby whose mother worked at Johns Hopkins Hospital. History remembers him as Little Albert. Watson placed a white rat in front of Albert. The baby laughed. He reached for it. He wanted to touch it. Albert wasn't afraid of anything. Not rats, not rabbits, not fur coats, not masks. He was a blank slate. Then Watson did something cruel. Every time Albert reached for the rat, Watson slammed a steel bar with a hammer directly behind the baby's head. The sound was deafening. Albert screamed. He cried. This happened again and again. Within 7 pairings, something had changed. Now, when Watson brought out the rat with no hammer, no sound at all, Albert screamed and tried to crawl away. But that wasn't the strangest part. 2 months later, Albert was terrified of a white rabbit he'd never seen. A sealskin coat, a Santa Claus mask with a white beard. He had learned to fear the rat, but his brain had generalized the fear to anything that looked remotely similar. A single trauma had rewired the entire category, white and fluffy, into danger. Watson had accidentally proven something bigger than he realized. The human brain doesn't need direct experience to be afraid. It just needs a pattern. And once that pattern is written, it spreads. Here's where it gets strange. Your brain has preloaded fears. Fears you didn't learn. Fears you were born with. In 2008, researchers at the University of Virginia showed 7-month-old babies images of snakes and images of frogs. The babies had never seen either, but their heart rate spiked at the snakes and stayed calm at the frogs. Their eyes locked onto the snake images faster. Their brains registered threat without a single lesson. A separate study at Uppsala University in Sweden showed that infants as young as 6 months old have measurably larger pupil dilation when shown pictures of spiders compared to flowers. 6 months old, they hadn't been bitten, they hadn't been warned, they hadn't watched a horror movie. The fear was already installed. This is called prepared learning. Your brain comes pre-wired to be afraid of certain things. Snakes, spiders, heights, sudden loud noises, enclosed spaces, deep water, strangers with unusual features, the dark. Notice what's missing from that list. Cars, guns, cigarettes, fatty food, electrical outlets, prescription drugs. All of these kill millions of people per year. Your brain doesn't fear any of them, because when the human fear system was being written, none of those things existed, and your DNA hasn't received an update since. For a long time, scientists believed fears could only be transferred through experience. Then, In 2013, a study at Emory University broke that assumption in half. Researchers Kerry Ressler and Brian Dias took male mice and exposed them to the smell of cherry blossoms. Every time the mice smelled it, they were given a small electric shock. The mice quickly learned to fear the smell, standard conditioning. Then, they let those mice reproduce. The offspring had never smelled cherry blossoms. They had never been shocked. They had never met their fathers. Actually, the pregnancies were done through artificial insemination to rule out any behavioral teaching. And yet, when those baby mice were exposed to cherry blossoms for the first time in their lives, they showed a startle response. Their bodies flinched. Their heart rates spiked. Then the researchers bred those mice, and their grandchildren showed the same reaction. The fear had been passed down through DNA itself. Not learned, not taught, inherited. The mice were literally afraid of a smell their bodies had never encountered. If this happens in mice, and increasing evidence suggests it happens in humans too, then somewhere inside you, there are fears you inherited from ancestors you'll never meet. Fears of things that stopped existing before your great-grandparents were born. Consider what you're afraid of when you're alone at night. You lock the doors, you check the closet, you look under the bed. Why? What are you actually looking for? Nothing in your modern apartment can hurt you. There are no leopards in Manhattan. There are no wolves in the suburbs. And yet, when the lights go out, your body still scans for eyes in the darkness. Anthropologists have studied this. For over 300,000 years, the biggest threat to human life at night was ambush predation. Leopards, in particular, developed a specific hunting strategy for early humans. They would climb trees near sleeping camps, wait for someone to wander off to relieve themselves, and drop down silently from above. Fossil evidence at a site called Swartkrans in South Africa shows early human skulls with 2 puncture marks on top, an exact match for the lower canines of a leopard's jaw. Our ancestors were dinner. For millions of years, every time you glance up at a dark tree branch and feel a chill you can't explain, that's not paranoia. That's a 3-million-year-old survival subroutine running in the background. Your brain doesn't know that leopards no longer live in cities. Your DNA is still watching the trees. Here's the darker question. If fears can be inherited, what are you passing down right now? Modern humans live under different threats. Financial collapse, public humiliation, social rejection, job loss. These are the predators of the 21st century. Your body reacts to a missed text message the same way your ancestors reacted to a rustle in the bushes. Elevated cortisol, racing heart, sleepless nights. Some researchers now believe that anxiety disorders, which have risen dramatically in the past century, may be the early stages of a new genetic fear installing itself. A fear of social exclusion, a fear of being watched, a fear of not being enough. In another 10,000 years, your descendants may lie awake at night, feeling a specific dread they can't explain, and it will trace back to you, to the moment you looked at your phone and saw a message that made your stomach drop. That fear will still be there, long after the phone is forgotten. You are not the person you think you are. You are a walking archive of every threat your bloodline ever survived. Every scream, every close call, every predator that got too close but not close enough. All of it is written inside you. The fear you feel when the lights go out isn't yours. It belongs to a woman who huddled in a cave 40,000 years ago, listening to something breathing in the dark. She lived, her fear lived with her, and now it lives in you. Every time your heart races at nothing, thank her. She is the reason you exist. And the ghosts she was afraid of, the ones that don't exist anymore, still live in the shadows of your mind, waiting, watching, reminding your body that it was never really safe. It just got very, very lucky. The debt is still there, and your body is still paying it, one heartbeat at a time.